In this week's episode, we tackle some of the heaviest takes in sports, including, but not limited to, the wide receivers in the NFL 2024 draft class. So let's kick it off right away and try to determine who is the best wide receiver. Is it Marvin Harrison Jr. or is it Malik Nabers?
For me, it's Marvin Harrison, and it's not because of talent, and it's because of safety. He's going to an Arizona team that I expect to score a lot of points, and Nabers is going to a New York Giants offense that really struggled last year, and that was before losing Barkley. So, I mean, I think that from a talent standpoint, Malik Nabers is fantastic. I think he could be one of the best receivers in the league in a few years, but I would rather take the sure thing. Harrison's got few weaknesses in his game, and he's going to a great offense. And Nabers is going to an offense that I think is going to struggle to move the ball and may struggle. I don't see that offense improving anytime soon, honestly.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to agree. I have Marvin Harrison Jr. at the top of my draft board for wide receivers, but it's very close with Malik Nabers. Both of these guys are almost considered basically generational prospects. The edge for me, again, like you said, Harrison is paired in a good offensive environment with an elite quarterback. He has the elite physical traits that you look to see. He does everything well: breakaway speed, elite hands, body control. He has comparisons to me to be the next AJ Green. Malik Nabers, also a great prospect as well. It's just that ding of we don't know what his quarterback situation is going to look like in the future. So when you got to go with it, like you said, Marty, safety is what is important to me, and that's why I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr.
When I'm in a draft class and I get to choose between one of these two prospects, I either want to trade down or I want to take Malik Nabers, because Malik Nabers to me is a superior athlete across the board, and I love his situation. And if you just look at the stats from last year, Marvin Harrison, 67 catches. Malik Nabers, 89 catches. Marvin Harrison, 1,211 yards. Malik Nabers, 1,569 yards. They both had 14 touchdowns. And Malik Nabers had a quarterback that rushed for 1,000 yards and funneled rush attempts out of the offense, and the pass attempts were leaving him. When the entire offense went to Marvin Harrison, he still didn't put up the numbers that Malik Nabers did. Now, Nick Saban said Malik Nabers was a problem. He didn't say Marvin Harrison was a problem. He said Malik Nabers was the problem. When you watch the tape of both the players, Malik Nabers jumps off the page. You did a couple videos, and you could already see that. Marvin Harrison is like, yeah, I mean, he got open against Youngstown State, like he beat him deep. So I didn't see anything that really blew me off the page. But then when he goes against Max Melton and Ben Harrison from Notre Dame, they shut him down. These are two top corners that are going to the NFL. Now, when he goes against Youngstown State, he does it. He puts up numbers. He's getting all of the pass attempts. He's getting so many targets in his offense, and he probably still will. But now he's going to be – let's look how week one will play out. Week 1, week 2, week 3. He's going to get the top cornerback from every team ready to shut him down. I'm ready to shut down the great Marvin Harrison. That's what he's going to get. And then when he can't produce against the top cornerback, Murray's going to be looking over to Michael Wilson. And then it's going to be clear to us, Marvin Harrison isn't the top quarterback. Marvin Harrison isn't the top receiver in this draft class. He isn't even the top receiver on his team when Michael Wilson's out producing him. I mean, that's what we could see here coming along pretty quickly.
I strongly disagree with that take. To me, I love both these wide receivers. Share the concern about the Giants offense, so give me Marvin. But the real question to me is not which of these receivers is number one. It is how far ahead are they than Odunze, who basically everybody's going to have a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, for me, I would say Odunze is a tick down, but he is definitely in what I would consider a top 3 wide receiver class. He's an elite route runner. He can run the entire route tree, 80% success rate against the press coverage, 83% against zone, elite numbers there. Some of the dings of why he isn't necessarily going to be taken as a top 2 wide receiver. It's a crowded Bears wide receiver room for 2024. DJ Moore just signed an extension, so Rome would have to really prove that he is going to be the alpha of that team to become an elite fantasy wide receiver. And some concerns I might have with Rome is it's the same offensive coordinator in Chicago that was in Seattle who underused JSN last year. So that's kind of the thing that I have in my mind of Rome is I definitely want to take him number 3, but I'm not considering him before Nabers, before Harrison.
Yeah, I definitely think the gap between Odunze and Nabers is smaller than the gap between the talent of the players. I mean, obviously, Odunze is a talented player, but what I love about Odunze's fantasy situation is that he is now linked to Caleb Williams for the foreseeable future. And if we're going to talk about Caleb Williams as the next Aaron Rodgers or possibly Patrick Mahomes, give me his number 1 target. He's got the upside to Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams. So that's why I have him pretty close or somewhat close.
I will go out and say, Rome Odunze before the NFL draft was one of my top prospects. Him, Malik Nabers, Lad McConkley, all excellent footwork. But the opportunity that he's in right now, I just don't see him able to produce this year. But long-term wise, I think this guy is a gold mine. I mean, once he gets the opportunity, this guy's going to be able to produce. You're not going to be able to keep someone like this off the field. So I look forward to seeing him in the future years until maybe there's an injury of one of the top receivers for the Bears right now.
Which will be week 1 with Keenan Allen playing there now.
Yeah, and even if Keenan Allen doesn't get hurt, I mean, how old is he? Do we have his age? He's
32.
wrong side of 30.
33.
Yeah, so there's definitely an opportunity there. He's firmly my number 3 as well.
So I just said earlier that I prefer Lad McConkley coming up on the next of the top 4 for these guys. So we've kind of listed the top 3 guys. Who do you guys have at your next tier? I personally like Lad McConkley. I think he has excellent footwork. I think he's one of the best route runners in this whole thing. I love his opportunity. Before, we never questioned his ability to play. We questioned his availability. And now, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be able to produce on a high end with the Chargers. He might get all the looks, which is excellent because he's going to get open on every single target. This guy can get open on any corner in the league. So I look forward to getting as much Lad McConkley I can get in these drafts. What do you guys think about your number 4 receiver in this draft class?
Yeah, for me, I would say Lad's number 5. I do like him, but for me, my number 4 is easily Xaiver Worthy. The main reasons being, besides just being an elite talent, elite prospect with route tree and dominating in Texas, he is going to be paired with Patrick Mahomes. That's something that I want to sign up for. So for me, it's easily Xaiver Worthy, number 4. I do like Lad for all you've mentioned. The only reason I don't have them or Worthy over Lad is the Chargers scare me a little bit with how much they might want to run the football. But it might not matter, especially in a PPR format. Lad just might be a cheat code when it comes to just getting all the receptions.
I too have Lad 4th. I'm like Eric. I think that the opportunity he has there is huge. We have Keenan Allen gone, Mike Williams gone, Austin Eckler gone. I know last year we saw Quentin Johnston really struggle as a rookie, but to me, Quentin Johnston just didn't look very good. I mean, I do think there's a small chance he bounces back, but I think Lad McConkley's just got an enormous opportunity. And if he has the opportunity, I mean, if he plays well, he's gonna have a chance to really be great. And he has a competent quarterback.
I'll chime in and I'll take Worthy. I watched a lot of those UT games, and I think he was pretty successful with the situation he was in. I don't think Quinn Ewers is the guy, but I think all of these guys in this category, Worthy, Lad, and Thomas Jr., they all kind of had to play second fiddle to like a really, really also elite receiver / I mean, I guess Adonai Mitchell is, some people would have said was better than Worthy before the draft, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out long term, as they're very different styles.
I'm going to shake things up here a little bit and actually go with the name that's not featured at the bottom of your screen, and that is Ricky Pearsall. To me, he's pretty similar to Lad McConkley, except he's got a little bit more top end speed, and I love just some of the catches he makes are incredible. The catch he had against Charlotte might be the best catch I've ever seen in my entire life. And then throw him in a 49ers offense where Kyle Shanahan basically never fails to have one of the better offenses in the league. He's just going to be put in such good places. And yeah, he's got Ayuk, he's got Deebo Samuel in the way, but in the NFL, if you're good enough, those things typically work themselves out. So I'm not too worried about it. Probably my favorite move is if I'm picking at the end of round 1, trade back, pick up some assets, draft Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, I like that. And it sounds like we've already talked about 6, 7 receivers already. It's just really kind of speaks to the depth of this draft class. And moving on to the next tier of players here, we haven't even mentioned Coleman. Kind of skipped over Brian Thomas Jr., A.D. Mitchell, Legette, Polk. Just again, speaking to this depth of wide receiver class, what do you guys like out of this group here? Who are we looking for?
Out of everyone we just mentioned, Brian Thomas Jr., I like him. He's also a teammate of Malik Nabers. Run with a 4.33 speed, big guy at the combine. It was exciting to see a player this big with this much speed on a Jacksonville team that needs someone to throw the ball to. So I am excited about him of everyone you just mentioned.
Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. reminds me just a little bit of DK Metcalf. You mentioned that size and speed, but the guy I like on this list is Jalen Polk. 2 words: catch radius. This guy can extend outside his body and make all sorts of catches. And he's going into a New England offense where he right away can be the number 1 wide receiver. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Chad Johnson with some of these catches that he makes. And he actually ran basically the same 40 time, same size. There's 1 pick off of where Chad Johnson was drafted. So he has that kind of pathway to be a top end receiver in this league.
Yeah, and somebody that I like is A.D. Mitchell. Some people might be a little scared off about the Colts offensive situation with Richardson. Will they be more run focused? How many looks is he going to have? But I think just his elite talent gives him access to a really high upside in fantasy. All the reports in training camp so far have shown that he's really, really impressed. He's already making an impact and a push to be the wide receiver 2 on this team. And I think it'll be a really good fit for how Richardson plays and what the Colts want to do on offense, where Mitchell can really shine.
And bringing it up to some other receivers further down on the list, we got Burton, we got Malachi Corley, we got Franklin, we got my guy Roman Wilson, and we got Javon Baker. Out of that list further down, that's kind of the next tier of guys that are further down, and I prefer Roman Wilson out of all those guys. He might not have the opportunity right away, but none of these guys kind of in this area have that opportunity. So I'm going to take Roman Wilson flyers in the late, beginning of the 3rd, late 2nd. That's who I'm looking for in that area.
I like Malachi Corley of that list. Again, probably taking him somewhere in the 3rd round. I don't think he has the elite top end speed to be like a number 1 receiver in the NFL, but with Garrett Wilson on the outside, taking away some of that coverage, he can get some of the underneath stuff. And I just think he can kind of be like Aaron Rodgers' new Randall Cobb, and getting that kind of value in the 3rd round to me is a great deal.
Somebody that I've been drafting in a lot of leagues is Jermaine Burton, a guy who I think a lot of people would agree had a round 1 talent profile and just got dinged by a couple of the on-field, off-field issues that he had. But it seemed obvious that the Bengals think that won't be an issue. And I definitely would like a receiver to be paired with Joe Burrow. For this year, he's already getting looks to be the wide receiver 3. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for that with Tyler Boyd gone. And after this year, it seems very likely that T. Higgins is going to be gone. And I think Burton will ascend into that role. He's almost kind of like a Jamar Chase. Not saying he is Jamar Chase, but he has a little bit of that, a little bit of those qualities. Might end up being more of their deep threat guy. But Burton is somebody who I'm very excited to click draft on when it's time.
Well,
Alrighty.
any other picks there? I think anyone you pick up in free agency? Marty?
I love the Colin Burton, and I like a guy who's a little bit deeper, Malik Washington. He's in Miami. He's really fast. He's a great fit with this offense, and he's not going to have a defined role to start, and that's why you can get him at the end of the draft or in free agency even possibly. But Tyreek Hill's, he's getting close to 30. You've got you've got Odell on that team. I mean, he definitely has a chance to move up. I think they're going to find ways to get him the ball, maybe not out of the gate, but I do think he will hop in and make a little bit of noise this season. And maybe if somebody gets hurt, he could have an even bigger role. So I'm scooping up Malik Washington.
I got a couple guys. I like Ainias Smith on the Eagles. Little buried on that depth chart behind AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but I just love his playmaking ability. He gets the ball in his hands, and he looks kind of like a running back, kind of hard to knock over. I think he'll start on punt returns, but maybe work his way a little bit more in the offense. Just too good of a player to keep off the field. And I also like Bub Means. He's got a good size speed guy going to New Orleans where there's some target share up for grabs there.
Me personally, after Malachi Corley is off the board and Jermaine Burton is off the board, I have switched all my gears to drafting running backs at this stage. I just don't want these receivers that are the best they're going to be is their number 3 on their team, because this is fantasy football. And at the end of the day, you want the studs, you want the hammers. And I think we just fall off the map around that area where there's just, you're just not going to get the results you want. And you're just going to waste a roster spot on some of these guys that are late, hoping they maybe become the number 3, and then you never even put them in your roster spot.
So instead, you'd rather have a handcuff running back, is what you're saying?
Correct. Because so as soon as that injury happens, I immediately have a starter. So with drafting, like a Bub Means, you maybe have the number 2 on that team, and if he gets that chance to start, do you want to put him in your starting roster? Do you want to put him in there, or if you get if Christian McCaffrey is out with an injury and you got his backup, you want to put that guy in your lineup?
I'm getting Bub Means post-draft free agency. Like, that's probably better than any running back you're drafting. Any running back you're picking up after the draft. So it sounds like I think we're in agreement. This is one of the best receiver classes we've seen in a while. Are there any concerns about some of these guys? I mean, we got some big names. Anybody that scares you a little bit?
Yeah, for me, that would be Xaiver Legette. I think the risk for him is just massive. Players that do absolutely nothing their first 4 years of college almost never succeed in the NFL. He seems to maybe be just a one-year wonder. Granted, that 1 year was truly wonderful, but he's almost 23 years old. He was basically at that point, a grown man playing college football against some players who were just fresh out of high school, and maybe that helped him break out. Just players overall with his production profile are just never end up really being good draft picks. He's tied to the Panthers, who might not even, have their future quarterback. Bryce Young might end up being a bust. So he's somebody who, unless he falls outside the top 10 wide receivers, it's not somebody that I'm looking to draft.
I definitely agree with all of that. And just for me, Xaiver, he just doesn't look natural catching the ball. And I think that's a big problem. The player that kind of scares me a little bit is Adonai Mitchell. And that's not because I think he's not a good receiver. I think he's a solid receiver. And you take a solid receiver and put him on a team with a running quarterback, I just don't know if there's enough pass volume to go around. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Rashad Bateman situation from few years ago when he was drafted on the Lamar Jackson's team. Picking Mitchell in the second round, I just don't know if you're ever going to get enough value out of that.
Then a guy that scares me that most people are on is Rome Odunze. I just don't see him potentially getting the targets and the looks, and he's maybe more of a best ball receiver when you first start, where he has some weeks where he hits it and some weeks where he misses. But there's another receiver last year that was drafted high and just wasn't able to see the field as much, Jackson Smith-Njigba. So we could see a comparison there where it's not a comparison we really want to see in the first year. Also, if Caleb Williams isn't able to turn it on like he was in college, where he was able to get 5-6 seconds to throw the ball. If he can't become a pocket passer like in the NFL, we just might not see that happen there in Chicago.
You got any busts there, Marty?
For me, it's Xaiver Legette as well. I don't want. I don't want any shares of the Panthers offense.
I agree with
Good
that.
call.
I agree with that.
All right, let's do the lightning round. The crystal ball picks. Who are you taking in your draft no matter what? Who are you looking for? I know, obviously, it's easy to choose Nabers or Harrison, but is that was one of your guys, or is there somebody else? Who are you taking no matter what?
Well, if my drafts have been any indication, so far it's been Xavier Worthy and it's been Jermaine Burton. I've got at least, I think, 3 shares of each of them. So those would be my 2 guys.
For me, I've selected Jalen Polk 4 out of 5 leagues, and then Ricky Pearsall 3 out of 5. Since Ricky Pearsall to me is the best value, he's my crystal ball pick.
To me, the best value of dynasty rookie drafts and just overall dynasty drafts is Ladd McConkley. I want to get him everywhere I can get him because I think he's going to see the volume, and if he gets the volume, he will produce.
For me, it's Malik Washington. He's easy to get. He's free, so I'm getting him everywhere.
Well, everybody, that is a episode of Crystal Ballers. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment below. Is there anything else, Eric? Come on, you're the resident TikToker.
Just make sure you guys smash that like button. Let's do it. Smash the like button.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. What?